The hour of convening having arrived, all members of the House will please report to the floor and take seats. All members of this House, please report to the floor and take your seats. The clerk will ring the bell. All members will report to the floor and take seats. We are about to have the morning roll call. We are about to have the morning roll call. We're going to have the morning roll call now. All members of this House present will please vote green to signify their presence in the chamber, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? Have all members now voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. Well, good morning. I wanted to call your attention to when we did the morning roll call, we had a member that's been out for a few days, and he's back today, and I sure am happy he's back, and that's the Dean of this House, Calvin Smyrie. I'm hoping that during morning orders he will overcome his shyness and come up to the well and say a few things. But we are certainly happy to have you back. Our prayers have been answered. Doorkeepers will please close the doors and keep them closed. We will begin our day with scripture, reading, and prayer by the chaplain, after which we will pledge allegiance to the flag of our country. Our chaplain this morning will be introduced by the chairman of the Defense and Veterans Affairs Committee, Chairman Bill Hitchens. Chairman Hitchens.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. It's certainly an honor for me today to bring my preacher from the First Baptist Church of Rinka, Georgia. But before I do that, I want to introduce a few of his family members. First, his wife, Prissy, who's my favorite. She's the poster child for our recruiting effort in Effingham County school system. She teaches school at a middle school there, and she's very obviously, after you hear about Dr. Lewis, she's traveled around, she's taught many school systems, and she applauds the effort that we've made and the success that we've had in our school system. Her son, Graham is a senior at South Effingham County High School. He goes to Georgia Southern on the Move On When Ready program and will be a sophomore in college wherever he goes next year. And then his daughter, Harper. Harper's a junior at South Effingham High School, and she's also in the Move On When Ready. So when she completes high school, she will have already obtained 2 years of college. And with him also today is his mother, Becky Lewis, who's from around, both these two ladies are from around these parts, and his mother-in-law, Joanne Quattlebaum. Dr. Lewis is the lead pastor of the First Baptist Church in Rincon, which I believe is the largest church in our county. We have 2 sessions every day because of You know, when I was a youngster, there were about 200 people in the church, and I suspect we have over 2,000 now, but we've had significant growth. He's been the pastor since 1991, and he's pastored several churches in Georgia and Oklahoma. No stranger to Fulton County. He grew up in Alpharetta, Georgia, and graduated from Milton High School. After graduation, he headed up I-85, and I guess he missed a turn to Athens and didn't want to turn around, so he continued on and went to Clemson. And some Sunday mornings, we see some orange clothing adorn his when he preaches at church. But after Clemson, he got a degree in finance. Then he went on and got a master's of divinity from the biblical languages at Southwestern Baptist Theological Seminary in Fort Worth, Texas, and a doctor of ministry from the Beeson Divinity School on the campus of Samford University in Birmingham, Alabama. It's really a pleasure for me today to have the honor to introduce Dr. Gary Lewis from the First Baptist Church of Rincon.
Well, I want to tell you how honored I am to be a part of this. Leader Burns and Chairman Hitchens inviting me to be a part of this experience. I'll be honest with you, I'm surprised you actually let me back in the house, because about 30-something, 35 plus years ago, I was a page. And one of the gentlemen on the floor invited me to, he said, I need a cup of coffee. And back then, there were these wax cups. You could bring cold drinks in, not hot ones. And so I came walking in with a hot drink and a wax cup. And the gentleman looked at me in a very kind way and said, son, you might want to get another cup before you set yourself on fire and burn the Capitol down. So thanks for letting me come back and spend a little bit of time with you. I'd like to begin by posing a question. My dad spent some time in politics, so I know the answer. So how many of you in this room, as a politician, have ever been asked a question, and you knew by the question that was being posed to you, you were being put into a position where they wanted you to answer a certain way so they could blame you for something? Anybody been there? You know it well. Well, this morning I'd like to read to you a section from the scriptures where Jesus experienced that. It says that later the religious leaders and some of the Pharisees and Herodians, they tried to catch Jesus in his words. And they came to him and said, Teacher, we know that you are a man of integrity. You aren't swayed by others because you pay no attention to who they are, but you teach the way of God in accordance with the truth. Here's their question. Is it right to pay the imperial tax to Caesar or not? Now, if you've ever been asked a political question, the odds are someone followed up with another one to make sure you were put into the corner. Again, they ask, should we pay the tax or shouldn't we? And the Bible says Jesus knew their hypocrisy. He knew exactly what they were asking. Why are you trying to trap me, he asked. Bring me a denarius. And he took it and looked at it. And he said to them, whose image is on the coin? And whose inscription is there? Caesar's, they replied. Then Jesus said, give back to Caesar what is Caesar's, and to God what is God's. And they were truly amazed by that. Now, I don't know how well you know your Bibles, but in the Roman Empire, there was a tax, and the tax basically went this way. Since you enjoy the privilege of living under the leadership of Caesar, you pay a tax to live under the leadership of Caesar. So there was this coin tax that everyone had to pay. And so they posed the question to Jesus because if Jesus said, yes, pay the tax, then all the Jewish people would be upset. If Jesus said, no, don't pay the tax, then everybody knew Jesus would be arrested on the scene. So there was his predicament, to say yes or no. And so Jesus asked the question, and the response was, well, he asked for a coin, and he just showed it to everyone who was there, and everyone knew it well. And so he said, so whose picture's on it? And on the coin, there was a picture of Tiberius Caesar, and underneath it said, Tiberius Caesar, Son of God. So as everybody was waiting for his response, Jesus looked at the borrowed coin, showed them the image, and gave them the response. And you might think, well, what was Jesus driving at? Well, think about the story for a minute. You had Tiberius Caesar on a coin that said Son of God. You had Jesus who was standing there. He likewise was claiming to be the Son of God. You had two men, one on a coin, one holding the coin. One guy who literally in Roman times owned all the coins at the time as the emperor, one who had to borrow a coin. One whose inscription was permanently on the money, one whose inscription was found nowhere. One guy whose empire would last 1,000 years by power and might. One guy whose church would reign for eternity by death on a cross. Now, as you think about that for a minute, you might think, well, how could that challenge me here today? You might be here and you might not even believe in Jesus or something along those lines. You might think, well, how does that apply to me? Because, you come from a town or a city where people know your name, where you walk on the streets there and people know your face. Your kids or your grandkids are there and people know them by name. And you might think, well, how does that apply to me? Here's the challenge I'd like to give you today. You see, for a lot of people who are in politics, like you, all across our nation, all around our world, they live with a Tiberius Caesar mentality. And it goes this way: I'll do my job for a season of time, I'll make a name for myself, and it'll last for a little while. But Jesus offers, I think, a deeper challenge. And that is for you to raise the level of your impact to not be just during your lifetime, but to be something that literally lasts beyond the day you die. Now, for just a minute, I'd like to give you a list of a couple of great Georgians, and I'm sure you know these men and women, and they all come from different spectrums of life. And I'll start with the most obvious one of all that we all celebrated just a week ago, a man by the name of Martin Luther King Jr., and he challenged all of us to judge people not by the color of the skin we see, by the character of their heart. And today, that still outlives him. Someone like Juliette Gordon-Low in Savannah, who saw the potential of girls everywhere and the importance of fostering their individual growth and character and self-sufficiency, started what we would call the Girl Scouts. Or Ivan Allen Jr., you know him so well as a former mayor of our city. And way back in the 1960s, he thought it to be important to have Major League Baseball. And long after he's gone, we're still hoping they'll win another World Series sometime soon. Joel Chandler Harris, a great man of literature and writing who introduced storytelling in a revolutionary way. Lucy Craft Laney, who believed all children should be educated and experience culture as well, so she brought in orchestra concerts and lectures by famous guests. Mediocrity was not something she believed should happen. Or even someone like Truett Cathy. He did not invent the chicken, but he invented the chicken what? There you go, the sandwich. We've had millions of them. But he believed in taking the money that he made and shared it with kids who were at a disadvantage. And long after his death and Miss Jeanette's death, that money will continue. And so the challenge I would like to give all of you today is the one that I think many of these men and women embraced. See, Tiberius Caesar made a name for himself that lasted a lifetime. He created an empire that lasted for 1,000 years. Jesus Christ died on a cross and created a kingdom and a church that lasts for eternity. So my challenge to you is this. It might be an idea. It might be a law. It might be an amendment. It might be something no one's ever thought of before. But might you step up in some way and come up with something so amazing that long after you take your last breath, whatever that thing is, outlives you by a long time and impacts a lot of lives. Let's pray. Father God, how humble I am to stand here in front of these great men and women who make decisions and lead our state. I thank you for each of them and the role they assume and the responsibilities they carry. I pray for each of them, Lord, and the tension they embrace between being elected and carrying out their task and responsibilities. Father, I pray for their guidance, your encouragement in their lives. And Lord, I pray they might wrestle with what we've talked about this morning in our devotion time together. Lord, to not really focus on their reputation and the things that might last them during their career. But Father, they would do something of such great substance, such great significance, that it would outlive them and impact lives far beyond anything any of them could ever imagine. And I invite you to bless them in great, mighty ways, give them discernment in all the decisions they make. We pray this in your Son's holy name. Amen. I now invite you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Doorkeepers will unlock the doors. Chair recognizes Chairman Darlene Taylor, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits.
Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Information and Audits has reviewed the proceedings from the previous legislative day and found them to be correct.
Chairman Taylor, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits, reports that the journal of the previous legislative day has been read and found to be correct. Is there any objection to the confirmation of the journal? The chair hears none and the journal is confirmed. The clerk will read the resolution establishing the order of business for the day.
Mr. Burns, the 159th moves following be established as the order of business in the first part of the period, unanimous consents. Introduction of bills and resolutions. First reading and reference of House bills and resolutions. Second reading of bills and resolutions. Morning orders.
Is there any objection to the adoption of the resolution establishing the order of business for the day? The chair hears none and the resolution is adopted. First reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 660 by Representative Hanson of the 80th, Smyrie of the 135th, Willard of the 51st, Renner of the 85th, Smith of the 134th, and others. Bill being titled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 10 of Title 17, Title 35, and Chapter 1 of Title 51 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the procedure for sentencing and imposition of punishment.
Judiciary non-civil.
House Bill 706 by Representative Taylor of the 173rd, Smith of the 134th, Lumsden of the 12th, Williams of the 145th. Bill being titled an act to amend Title 47 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to retirement and pensions.
Retirement.
House Bill 707 by Representative Price of the 48th, Jones of the 47th, Martin of the 49th, Willard of the 51st. Bill being titled an act to provide for new homestead exemption from the City of Roswell ad valorem taxes.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 708 by Representative Raffensperger of the 50th, Hilton of the 95th, Jones of the 25th, Martin of the 49th, Willard of the 51st. Bill being titled an act to provide for new homestead exemption from the city of Johns Creek ad valorem taxes.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 709 by Representative Jones, the 91st Carter, the 92nd Kirby, the 114th Dickerson of the 113th, Stevenson of the 90th, and others. Bill being titled an act to amend an act creating the State Court of Rockdale County.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 710 by Representative Jones, the 47th, and Cantrell, the 22nd. Bill being titled an act to provide for a new homestead exemption from the city of Milton ad valorem taxes.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 711 by Representative Jones, the 47th. Bill being titled an act to provide for a new homestead exemption from the city of Mountain Park ad valorem taxes.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 712 by Representative Martin of the 49th, Jones of the 47th, the Price of the 48th. Bill being titled an act to provide for a new homestead exemption from the city of Alpharetta ad valorem taxes.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 713 by Representative Chandler of the 105th, Raffensperger of the 50th, Mathiak of the 73rd, Dreyer of the 59th, Barr of the 103rd. Bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 20-3-519 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to definitions relative to Hope Scholarships.
Higher education.
House Bill 714 by Representative Rogers, the 10th F-Stration of the 104th, Rhodes of the 120th, Powers of the 32nd, Epps of the 144th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 40-1-8 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to the safe operations of motor carriers.
Motor vehicles.
House Bill 715 by Representative Hughley of the 136th, Scott of the 76th, Buckner of the 137th, Kendrick of the 93rd, Stevenson of the 90th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 1 and Title 31 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to general provisions related to health.
Health and Human Services.
House Bill 716 by Representative Rakestraw of the 19th, Powell of the 32nd, Petrie of the 166th, and Pruitt of the 149th. Bill being titled an act to enact the Georgia Pre-Arrest Diversion for Drug and Mental Health Treatment Act.
Judiciary Non-Civil.
House Bill 717 by Representative Kelly of the 16th, Coomer of the 14th, Reeves of the 34th, Tanner of the 9th, Hanson of the 80th. Bill being titled an act to amend Code Section 40-8-11 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to operational rules for autonomous vehicles.
Motor vehicles.
House Resolution 913 by Representative Rakestraw of the 19th, Powell of the 32nd, Petrie of the 166th, and Pruitt of the 149th. Resolution creating the House Study Committee on incorporating law enforcement in the pathway to treatment.
Public Safety and Homeland Security.
That completes first readers.
Second reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 650 by Representative Oliver of the 82nd, a bill relating to state and other flags. House Bill 651 by Representative Oliver of the 82nd, a bill relating to dangers, instrumentalities, and practices. House Bill 655 by Representative Williams of the 145th, a bill relating to miscellaneous provisions under the Quality Basic Education Act. House Bill 689 by Representative Williams of the 145th, a bill relating to deposits of deceased depositors. House Bill 690 by Representative Ridley of the 6th, a bill relating to definitions, exemption from taxation, allocation, and disbursement of proceeds collected by tag agents, fair market value of vehicle appealable and report. House Bill 691 by Representative Belton of the 112th, a bill relating to driver's license applications, fees, waiver of fees, and provisions for voluntary participation in various related programs. House Bill 692 by Representative Maxwell of the 17th, a bill relating to deferred compensation plans. House Bill 693 by Representative Harrell of the 106th, a bill relating to solid waste management. House Bill 694 by Representative Harrell of the 106th, a bill relating to motor fuel tax. House Bill 695 by Representative Epps of the 144th, a bill relating to license plates for promoting and supporting certain beneficial projects, agencies, funds, or nonprofit corporations. House Bill 696 by Representative Kelly of the 16th, a bill relating to exemptions from state sales and use taxes. House Bill 697 by Representative Taylor of the 173rd, a bill relating to exemptions from sales and use tax. House Bill 698 by Representative Hilton of the 95th, a bill relating to special license plates promoting and supporting certain beneficial projects, causes, agencies, funds, or nonprofit corporations. House Bill 699 by Representative Belton of the 112th, a bill relating to basic firefighter training courses and transfer of certification. House Bill 700 by Representative Belton of the 112th, a bill relating to service cancelable loan fund and authorized types of service cancelable educational loans financed by state funds and issued by the Georgia Student Finance Authority, House Bill 701, by Representative Tanner of the 9th, a bill relating to definitions for drug testing and state employment, House Bill 702, by Representative Clark of the 147th, a bill relating to post-secondary education, House Bill 703, by Representative Hitchens of the 161st, a bill relating to privileges, House Bill 704, by Representative Caldwell of the 20th, a bill relating to limitations of actions on recovery for deficiencies connected with improvements to realty and resulting injuries, House Bill 705, by Representative Kelly of the 16th, a bill relating to general jurisdiction of magistrate courts, House Resolution 898, by Representative Coleman of the 97th, a resolution creating the Joint Study Committee on establishment of a state accreditation process, House Resolution 899, by Representative Nix of the 69th, a resolution recognizing September 6th of each year as Marquis de Lafayette Day, House Resolution 900, by Representative Beskin of the 54th, a resolution recognizing Mr. James Harold Shepard, dedicating a road in his honor, Senate Bill 317, by Senator Alberts of the 56th, a bill to provide a homestead exemption from Fulton County School District ad valorem taxes for educational purposes, through second readers.
Chair is advised that there are no reports of standing committees today. We are now going on to morning orders. Chair is going to ask each member of the House that is in the chamber to please be seated at their own desk. Chair recognizes for a morning order the Dean of the House of Representatives, Dean Calvin Smyrie.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just wanted to come and say thanks to you and the members of this body for all the outpouring of love and expressions that you were able to extend my way. I'm thankful to God to be here. God is good all the time, and I'm blessed to be here. I had a shortness of breath as I was working here on Thursday prior to the session, and went to see the speaker and had a chat with him and made my other rounds and felt a shortness of breath. I went home to Columbus and called my physician, and he sent me to the emergency room, and I was admitted to the hospital with pulmonary embolism, blood clot in both lungs. Thankful that he caught it early. It's good to be here. I miss this house. 44 years is a long time. And not to be here on the first day was a very difficult moment for me. But I'm glad to be here today. That's what's important. Thank you. And lastly, I want to thank both aisles of this House, Republican leadership, the Democratic leadership, for all your outpouring of love and expressions. And I want to thank all of you all who called me and texted me, and some I was not able to get back to. It was just kind of overwhelming. But chalk it up to my head and not to my heart. I love this body. I love serving in this house. It means a great deal to me to be a member of the Georgia House of Representatives. And I look forward to working with each and every one of you this session. I've got some things I want to talk to you about and have discussions on. And there's nothing more important to me than for Georgians to have a better quality of life. That's my ultimate goal, and it always has been in my services in this house. So, Mr. Speaker, members of this House, thank you all very, very much. I'm deeply indebted. I appreciate you. I love you. And God bless all of you. Thank you very much.
Chair recognizes for a morning order the Majority Leader of the House and Chairman Hitchens. Leader Burns and Chairman Hitchens.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. If you haven't noticed, today is Effingham County Day at the Capitol. We have a large delegation up here from one of Georgia's original counties. It was settled in 1731 by the Salzburgers. The first governor of Georgia, John Adam Troutland, grew up about 4 miles down the road from where I live now at a place called Ebenezer where the Salzburgers landed. But we're going to have a reception today at 4 o'clock over at the Railroad Depot. Please wear your badge. And I'd like to identify a couple of people. I see our superintendent of schools and the school board sitting up here. We have 2 delegations, one from South Effingham High School and one from Effingham High School. From the Interact Club, I belong to the Rotary Club in Effingham. Would you stand up, be recognized? There they are. And more importantly, the Chamber of Commerce is here. The Chamber sponsors this event. We do it annually, and we really appreciate them and all the things that they do to make our county prosperous. Would the Chamber members stand up? You want to say anything? Thank you very much.
Chair recognizes for a morning order the Minority Leader of the House, Leader Trammell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm the son of educators. Teachers have been an important part of my life, always have and always will be. And Henry Adams had a quote that about teachers. It said, "A teacher affects eternity. You can never know tell where that influence stops." And in my role at the Capitol, it never ceases to amaze me, people who come up and say, "Hey, was your mom Minla Trammell?" Or "Hey, was your dad Bob Trammell? He or she taught me." We are honored and privileged to have a group of distinguished, excellent teachers with us here today from the Delta Kappa Gamma Society. Delta Kappa Gamma Society is a professional society of women educators. Its mission is to promote professional and personal growth of women educators and excellence in education. And they're wonderful teachers in all of our districts. So I would ask the group that's here with us today from Delta Kappa Gamma to please stand and give them a warm welcome to the House of Representatives.
Chair recognizes for a morning order Representative Valencia Stovall.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and good morning, members of the House. For the past 2 days, we've been here at the Capitol for the Educate Georgia Summit. On Saturday, we had our Maker Studios, which were different simulations that were taking place, so we took over the Capitol on Saturday. And then we came back on Sunday, which was yesterday, and we had an education challenge where we gave away a $500 gift card to any group that can be creative with creating a lesson plan to engage, deliver, and then being able to assess students. And we had 16 groups to actually compete for that one $500 gift card. And then this morning, we started off this morning as our final day for the Educate Georgia Summit. And if some of you all came in, you saw the white tent. So I'm inviting you all over for lunch at 12 o'clock across the street at the big white tent at Liberty Plaza, where we will have our keynote luncheon. You will see an exhibit on how to make a 3D printer. We will have a student panel, and we will end it with a fireside chat with Superintendent Woods, and we have 2 or 3 other distinguished individuals who will also be sharing their thoughts on the future of education here in Georgia. So these past 3 days have been all about our students and for One Georgia. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes for a morning order Representative Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members of the House. I hope you had a good weekend at home with your families. But this Saturday marked a historic milestone in the first anniversary of President Trump's term in office. And since we don't get to hear about his accomplishments enough from the media, I just wanted to highlight a few of those today. The creation of 1.7 million jobs here in our country and new announcements from companies like Apple and Amazon every day have driven unemployment rates to 4.1%, historic lows. Also included in that, unemployment rates for African Americans, Hispanics, and women are at historic all-time lows. We have seen our GDP grow at a rate at over 3%, and our stock market continues to soar, reaching new heights every day. And President Trump did this the same way he told us he would. We passed historic tax reform that cut taxes of $5.5 billion. We have slashed regulations. In fact, 22 regulations have been cut for every one that has been implemented. And we have prioritized over $500 million in Small Business Administration loans for women-owned businesses. He's also fought to keep our country safe. Criminal gang members have been removed at a 36% rate higher than the previous year. Our illegal border crossings are down at a 45-year low, and ISIS has been virtually destroyed, with over 98% of the territory they once owned now being conquered. So, Mr. Speaker, I've enjoyed this first year of President Trump making America great again, and look forward to 7 more years of winning under President Trump. And I yield the well.
Chair recognizes for a morning order the Vice Chair of the Minority Caucus, Representative Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, my dear colleagues, I was elated when the adoption bill came to the floor. And when I saw my colleagues on both sides of the aisle coming together for foster youth all over Georgia to be able to have a stable home, I then realized that this is the kind of legislator that I can work with. 80% of the prison population was once in the foster care system. I want to say that again. 80% of the prison population was once in the foster care system. Some of you may know my story, that I once was a foster child, and that now I am the first ever foster child to be elected in any state legislature. I don't say that to put a limelight on me. I say that to let you know that with hard work and resilience, our foster children can strive for excellence. We have to keep this momentum up. I want this urgency of this issue to usher in more policy to support the over 14,000 foster youth in Georgia. I am now working with CASA and the Department of Children and Family Services to put together a Bill of Rights for our foster children. We now have the power to change the lives of Georgia's most vulnerable youth. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Representative Bentley for a morning order.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker, and happy Monday, colleagues. I stand before you this morning to get you to think about something. I just left the Georgia Municipal Association's breakfast, which was really good, well attended, and we talked about home rule, which is very important. But I just want to give you something else to think about. As we are communicating with our local officials about sales tax increase, SPLOS, increase in sales tax, keep in mind our working families across Georgia. There's one thing for certain in this life, and that is you're going to pay taxes. You're going to pay taxes the entire time you're living, and when God calls you home to glory, your family's going to pay taxes on your funeral. And so when we increase the sales taxes in our communities, the funeral industry feels that impact as well, which is passed on down to our working families. So just wanted to share that with you, just to kind of give you something to think about as we are all having conversations with our local officials about increasing sales taxes in our communities. Think about the time when God calls us home and the impact that it will have on our families. Because oftentimes when families are faced with financial difficulties, the first thing they end up letting go is life insurance policies. Oftentimes working families only have life insurance policies with their jobs, and if they lose their jobs, they no longer have that. So on behalf of the entire Georgia Funeral Service Practitioners Association and all the funeral industries and associations across the state, just wanted to give my colleagues something to think about as we're talking about sales tax increase. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and happy Monday again, everyone. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Belton for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If you would, military members, please come up here. Military Working Group is Veterans Affairs as well. The governor very rightly is very proud of the university system we have in Georgia. 2 of our universities are ranked in the top 20 in America. But I'm also very, very proud that 2 of our universities, military friendly, are ranked in the top 10, believe it or not, in America. And this military friendly rating is not about recruitment. It's actually about suicides. It's terrible, but 22 young men, women, Marines, soldiers, airmen, Marines kill themselves every single day in America. And the reason why they do often is because they don't see a future in what they're doing outside the military. So these military-friendly universities, they do a very fantastic job of welcoming the soldiers and then making sure that they're cared for, and then once they're cared for, making sure they get good degrees, which they can go get good jobs and have a good future. So I'm just going to rank the top 8 in Georgia of military-friendly universities, something my committee and the members around me have been working very hard to make sure we work on this. So number 3 in the nation is Armstrong State University. It's the number 3 military university. Here. Number 9 is Georgia State, right here in Atlanta. Georgia State's the number 9 military university in America. Number 53 is the University of Georgia. Number 61 is Kennesaw State. Number 70 is College of Coastal Georgia. Number 93 is Augusta University. Number 112 is the Georgia Southern University. And 129 is University of North Georgia. So thank you very much for this really good work to help our military.
Chair recognizes Representative Cannon for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to pay tribute to an Atlanta civil rights lawyer who passed away about 14 years ago today while driving her car in Atlanta. She was 60 years young, and her name is Margie Pitts Hames. Ms. Hames argued Doe versus Bolton, a suit from Georgia concerning restrictions on sites where reproductive health could be performed, which ran parallel to Roe versus Wade, a Texas case. The Supreme Court ruled on the two cases on January 22nd, 1973. Ms. Hames called the decision a cornerstone for liberating women. Today I stand a liberated woman, and thank you all for listening.
Chair recognizes Chairman Dickey to present the Doctor of the Day. Chairman Dickey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to introduce our doctor today in a very unique bio. I want y'all to pay attention to this. She's been here before. Dr. Rana Muna began her medical school at the age of 45 at Mercer University. So a great university in making, educating some great doctors for rural Georgia. She then completed her internal medicine residency here in Atlanta Medical Center and became board certified for private practice in Macon. She specializes, Mr. Speaker, in health, wellness, and fitness, encouraging her patients to lose weight if necessary in order to control hypertension, adult onset diabetes, and lifestyle changes. Dr. Muna was president of Bibb County Medical Society, serves as a delegate to the annual AMA House of Delegates, and she continues to serve on the Bibb County Medical Society Board, and she serves the Georgia Legislature annually as Doctor of the Day. She's also faculty at Mercer University and routinely mentors our medical students. But one of her proudest accomplishments is her son, Christian, a United States Marine who has been deployed to Afghanistan on 3 occasions and is now in Special Forces. Dr. Muna is married to Joe Egloff, a cattle farmer who owns Rocking Chair Ranch in Monroe County and provides great grass-fed beef to restaurants and individuals in Middle Georgia. Both are very involved in Bolingbroke Farmers Market, where the public can buy, of course, their beef, but also local grown vegetables and sweet Dickey peaches. So we appreciate her commitment to a healthy lifestyle and what she does in the medical community. Dr. Muna.
Thank you so much, Robert Dickey, and thank you to this chamber. I am very, very happy to be here once a year. It's a great day for me. It's not a political day. It's a day of service. So I'm here to serve you, help you in any way I can. If you're ill, and I hope you're not, I'll be glad to take care of you. But if you just have a burning medical question you want to talk to a doctor about, come and talk to me. I love to talk about medicine. I bring you greetings and cheers from the Bibb County Medical Society. If you want to be more involved with us in any way, come see me. Bring me your business card. I look forward to seeing you sometime today. Thank you.
we're going to recognize some groups of distinguished Georgians. And before we do that, I just want to briefly recognize here in the chamber with us today two of my great friends, the mayor of Blue Ridge, Mayor Donna Whitener, and council member Robbie Cornelius. Thank you all for being here. The clerk will read the caption to House Resolution 909. 909.
House Resolution 909 by Representative Burns, the 159th, and Hitchens, the 161st. A resolution recognizing Josh Reddick for his outstanding accomplishments in the sport of baseball and for other purposes.
Chair recognizes the Majority Leader of the House, Leader Burns, for an invite resolution.
Good morning. I can't do that quite as well as our colleague who was just recently here and welcomed us on a great Monday morning. But Patty does a great job with waking me up and getting me started and stirred up for the week. So thank you, Patty. Today, you've heard Chairman Hitchens let you know that Effingham County is here today. And one of our citizens from Effingham County is someone you may recognize. Some of you may not recognize him because he wears his baseball cap when he's playing right field for the world champion Houston Astros, Josh Reddick. But first, let me introduce a couple people that are with Josh that are important to him and important to his foundation that's doing lots of great work down in Effingham County. Trey Saxon, Donna Shepard, Jet Elkins. We're glad to have you guys as guests in the house, and let's give them a round of applause. They do a lot of great work for Josh. For and with Josh, I should say. Josh is a great testament of what hard work, dedication, and oh yeah, a little bit of talent that goes a long ways. Josh's baseball career began down in Effingham a few years ago in the recreation department, continued to South Effingham High School, and a short stint at Middle Georgia. Then on to the Red Sox, the Oakland A's, and of course those Los Angeles Dodgers who dearly love him now before he ended up with the Astros. So I would ask you to Google and you'll understand what I'm talking about, how much they love him if you didn't see that on television during the World Series. Josh bats over 300, has a powerful arm, as you saw in the World Series, to help several runners that never made an attempt to move forward because of the arm he has. So we're pretty proud of Josh because of his athletic accomplishments. The city of Houston is proud of Josh because of his caring for those members of that community with the terrific flooding that occurred. Josh was one of the first and is still connected with bringing relief and taking care of his fellow citizens there in the city of Houston. Now, those are the good things about Josh and his athletic abilities, but there's a lot more to Josh Reddick and to what he's doing for humanity than his baseball career and even his great work in the city of Houston. Josh established a foundation that's been an advocate for the youth in Effingham County over the last few years in his baseball career. He provides student scholarships to student athletes that for the young people in Effingham County. You know, Josh is one of those folks who has not forgotten where he comes from and where his roots are. That foundation is continuing to do work in our county and for Southeast Georgia and for people around our state, and we'll continue to do that. Josh's latest endeavor, if you will, we're building a new sports complex in Effingham County, second to none. And part of that sports complex, Josh's foundation just donated $1 million. Now, part of that $1 million is used to upgrade one of the fields in that sports complex with, guess what? Nothing but AstroTurf, if you will, an all-weather surface. So we're appreciative of that. But more importantly, that particular field is available and is equipped to take care of all the athletic events, but especially, Chairman Dempsey, the special needs members of our community and those folks around the state who come to have activities there at that field. I think Josh is one of those people and one of those things in our society we're sorely in need of for our young people. He's a professional athlete who hasn't forgotten where he comes from, but he's also, more importantly, a great role model to the youth of today. With that, let's give a warm house welcome to our World Series champion, Josh Reddick.
Good to have you with us. Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me. Boy. Thank you. Just want to say thank you, first of all, for having me here. It's an honor to be here with the group that I've brought. Thank you for having them, all of us here. Thank the big man upstairs for all of us allowing to be here, of course. But yeah, I mean, the Josh Reddick Foundation is all about giving back to the youth of Effingham County, basically, but we're going to donate as much as we can, whether it be police, fire, animal shelters. We've done it all. We're trying to, make a great county a little bit better as much as we can, as fast as we can. And the main focus, I think, is for us to make a better future for our younger generation, so hopefully they can do the same for years and years to come. So if we can touch just one child to change the world, then we're doing something right. So I think that's our goal. But that's what we're about. So if you don't know, search it up, ask us, and we'll give you all the information you need. But thanks again for having us, and thank you for allowing us to be here.
Clerk will read the caption to House Resolution 907.
House Resolution 907 by Representative Shaw, the 176th, Corbett of the 174th, Rhodes of the 120th, Watson of the 172nd, and La Riccia of the 169th. A resolution recognizing and commending Lindsay Gutierrez, 2017 Miss Veteran America, and for other purposes.
Chair recognizes Chairman Shaw for an invite resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. It's an honor to be here this morning and to have a chance to bring Lindsay Gutierrez and her husband, Anthony. We all go to church together in Lakeland at Unity United Methodist Church, and it was several months back when Lindsay stood up to the church and told everybody that she was going through some things and trying to put her name in the hat for the Miss Veteran America. Well, after educating our congregation about what all that entailed, and I'll let her tell you more about what her passions are, but we knew when we saw the look in her eyes that she was determined and she was probably going to win. Well, there were 450 participants, and she won, and she is Miss Veteran America, not Georgia, but America. And so we are proud of her, Mr. Speaker, and we're glad that they've taken the time to be here. Her husband, Anthony, is still active duty. Lindsay's a veteran. She's from Oklahoma, and I hadn't had a chance to tell you, but we enjoyed that Rose Bowl. I don't want to talk about it. But she's an inspiration to our congregation at Unity, and it's great to have her. She's gone on and just been an inspiration. She's done a lot of traveling since winning the crown. But like I said, Lindsay, it's great to have you here today. Anthony, you as well. And I'll let you say a few words if you would.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, members of the House, for having me. So I am originally from Midwest City, Oklahoma, and I am a Sooners fan. So congratulations on your win a few weeks ago. So I served in the Air Force for 6 years. I was security forces, and I met my husband overseas, who is still active duty as well at Moody Air Force Base. And during the journey in the Air Force, I really wanted to stay in. I saw a lot of things that needed to be improved. And then out of circumstances, I had to separate. And even though I no longer wear the uniform anymore, I still feel a need to support our military and their families. And so one of those ways I got involved was through Miss Veteran America. And our platform is raising awareness for homeless women veterans and their children through the nonprofit Final Salute. But it's not just with Final Salute, it's nationwide. And so my mission and my goal for bringing the title back to Georgia is to work with state leaders and community leaders to find ways to improve homeless situations concerning women veterans and their children. There's an astounding amount of numbers and data regarding this epidemic, and I would hope to be able to come back and speak with you about that at a later time. But I really would invite you to join me on this mission to help alleviate the burden of what our veterans associate with once they separate from active duty service. So thank you again for having me. I feel like that we can really work together to improve on this issue. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Clerk will read the caption to House Resolution 901.
House Resolution 901 by Representative Petrie of the 166th. The resolution commending the Calvary Day School volleyball team for winning the 2017 GHSA Class A State Championship and for other purposes.
Chair recognizes Representative Petrie for an invite resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, good morning. It is a special honor for me today to introduce you to the 2017 GHSA Class A State Championship volleyball team from Calvary Baptist Day School in Savannah. But moreover, I need to emphasize that they have won this distinction 3 years in a row now. 3 years in a row, guys. 3 years in a row. And by the way, this is the first team of any sport in Savannah history to win 3 state championships 3 years in a row, and so we're very proud of them. This school is a school that both of my children, by the way, graduated from, and it is the school that is supported by my church. And so we are indeed very proud of them. I have with me today Mr. Gordon Hunter, who is the Director of Development for Calvary Baptist. We have Ms. Hannah Hunter down here, who is the head coach, Mr. Chad Carver, the assistant coach, and 2 seniors, Miss Morgan Pearson and Miss Sarah Daniels. And also, ladies upstairs, if y'all would please stand, I want to recognize you. This is the balance of our team, and we're very proud of them. At any rate, we are very proud of these girls in Savannah, and what we're most proud of is the character and the way they carry themselves. They're not only athletes, but they are committed to being the right kind of example in our community, and we're very proud of them. With that, I will give you Mr. Gordon Hunter.
Mr. Speaker, Representative Petrie, delegates from the great state of Georgia, we are humbled to be here with you all this morning. The 2 coaches and 2 seniors behind me and the 10 sitting up in the balcony are a great example of how Calvary Day School should be represented. Each is active in faith, rigorous in their pursuit of academics, and striving for personal excellence. These young ladies and their coaches worked tirelessly to win 3 consecutive state championships. After graduating 7 seniors last year, they were still able to come out and win 32 games and only losing 5 matches. Calvary Day School was founded in 1961 as an unapologetic Christian educational institution. From that point to this day, we give all honor and glory to God. We are proud of this team's accomplishments, and we are truly grateful for the opportunity to be here this morning. Thank you.
Clerk will read the caption to a group of privileged resolutions.
Recognizing and commending the Georgia Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Recognizing and proclaiming Walton County Bicentennial Celebration Day. Recognizing and commending Gwinnett Medical Center Concussion Institute. Commending the Heritage School. Honoring and commemorating the 1977-78 Temple Tigrettes for their outstanding victories and timeless legacy. Recognizing telehealth as an important tool to improving access to health care in Georgia, and for other purposes. That completes the reading of the privileged resolutions.
Is there any objection to adopting the privileged resolutions? The chair hears none, and the resolutions are adopted. We will be doing page photographs immediately upon adjournment. The chair has a meeting off campus that I'm going to be leaving for, so get your pages now and get them so we can get those done rather quickly. If you signed up for an announcement, make your way to the front of the chamber. All announcements. Chair recognizes for an announcement Chairman Welch. Chair recognizes for an announcement Representative Marin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, buenos dias. Again, inviting you to the 16th annual GACC, Georgia Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Legislative Breakfast tomorrow morning at the Sloppy. Please come. We will have a good lay of speakers that morning, and please join. This will be our 16 years doing this appreciation breakfast. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Chair recognizes Chairman Dempsey for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just a reminder to everyone on Human Resources or anyone else that might be interested in that we will be meeting today on the Appropriations Room to hear requests for this year's amended budget, room 341. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Representative Mosby for an announcement.
Good afternoon. There will be a DeKalb House delegation meeting in room 605 at noon, time certain, at noon, 605, DeKalb House delegation members. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Chairman Elps for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A reminder that motor vehicles will meet immediately upon adjournment in room 403 of the Capitol. Room 403 of the Capitol, immediately upon adjournment. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, that appears to be all of the announcements that we have. The chair recognizes the Majority Leader of the House for a motion.
Mr. Speaker, I move that this House stand adjourned until 10 a.m. Tuesday, January 23rd, 2018.
Majority Leader has moved that this House stand adjourned until Tuesday, January 23rd at 10 o'clock a.m. All those in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed will say no. The ayes clearly have it, and this House will be adjourned until Tuesday, January 23rd at 10 a.m.